Hi everyone, it's J-Belle and this is Geeky Vices, where I talk about some of the random bits of pop culture I've been really obsessing about lately. So, if you've already seen me in this outfit before, you know that I've been making a couple extra videos this week to make up for the fact that I was sick last week and missed last week. So I'm buffing up with a couple extras. So enjoy the extra Geeky Vices this week. Anyways, this video I am going to be talking about another cooking reality show that or I guess cooking competition is more accurate, that I've been into this week. You've heard me mention the Great British Bake Off way too many times. Well, this week I'm talking about a new addition to Netflix, which is The Final Table. So the premise of the show is that there are 24 chefs from all over the world, and they're all paired up in teams. It sounds like, from what I can understand, they all have past history with each other, or it seems like almost all of them do. But the thing I found interesting is that I assumed each team was going to be like focusing on one country. Like I thought there was going to be the Australian team, the U.S. team, the Mexican team. Like I thought it was going to be each team was going to be about someone from one country. Was going to be a pair of people from the same country. That was going to be one of the different countries to visit each week, and that's not the case. Like a lot of the teams are. I mean, there are people that a lot of them do have history. Like I love the Australians, who are like two of the biggest veterans. Mark and Shane are like two of the people I was rooting for. I love their humor so much, and I totally want there to be a show about them just like hanging out and cooking together because I love their chemistry and humor, and also their cooking looks pretty good too. But no, a lot of the teams are like, for instance, one of the teams has a guy from Scotland, the other person's from the U.S. or they're, let's see, yeah, no, that's Graham and I can't remember who he's paired with. Or there's teams where it is the same country, like Jessica and Johnny are both in the U.S. Or there's people where it's completely different countries, like Amindir and Monique are from India and New Zealand, where there's Ash and Alex, where it's South Africa and Australia. Let's see, there's teams where it's like Spain and France, or there's one where it's Colombia and Ecuador, or Mexico and Brazil. So it's all over. And the thing is that also, just because someone's from a certain country doesn't mean that's necessarily where they're cooking. Like for instance, like one of the Australians is currently in Hong Kong, or when with the American team, like Johnny and Jessica's been in Spain for the past 5 years. So, or with one of the most creative teams, Charles and Rodrigo, like one of them is from both his family. He's half Colombian, half French. Like he spent half and half in there, but he travels all over the world being a culinary artist. Or and some people like have cuisine that you wouldn't expect. Like the Scottish guy has a strong French influence. Like same with the Australians. Like both of them have strong French influence. Or my favorite is there's a U.S. Canadian team where the Canada guy is super passionate about Japanese food, and he has a Japanese restaurant, and he's always having to prove himself as being this white guy who is into Japanese cuisine. And it's like because it's just like, well, why are you doing this? Why are you the one trying to represent Japan? It's like I just love it. I just try educating myself about it and just passionate about it. And it's like, you know what? That's the legit reason. Like you shouldn't. Just because someone is of that nationality doesn't mean they're necessarily a good cook in that cuisine. Versus like someone who is very passionate, they might be of a different ethnicity, but they could be really good in that type of cuisine. So yeah, anyways, the teams are not necessarily all from the same country, but each week each episode focuses on a different country, and the first part is there's a challenge to do the national dish of that nation. So for instance, first Mexico, it's tacos. For Spain, it was paella. For the UK, it was British breakfast, traditional English breakfast. So you can see that there's definitely like a solid theme that's like related to that country, and they want people to make, each team has 1 hour to make a representation of that. And the thing is that they want both. The judges are usually it's an actor or actress, a singer, and then a food critic for this part. And then at the end they'll go through each team, and it'll either be the best dish, or the best 3 dishes will get called out, and then for most episodes they'll then say what the 3 weakest dishes were, and those people then have to cook again in front of a like world famous chef from that country, who will, at the very last episode, they'll be part of the quote unquote final table. So like these are people who are like 3-star Michelin people, or people who are like super iconic with the cooking of their country. And then they'll pick an ingredient iconic for their country. So for Mexico, my prediction was that it was going to be Nepalese, and I was right, although it was Nepalese and tuna, which I've never had either, but I guess like the tuna is not tuna fish, but tuna as far as like the fruit of the cactus plant rather than the pala leaf like the Nepalese is. So, and then whichever chef does the worst out of those 3 is then eliminated. So it was very interesting, and sometimes it was, the very first episode was shocking because like one of the teams that went home, the episode was in Mexico, and there was a Mexican person who went home. So it's just because you have it's your nationality, like sometimes the pressure is worse because there's higher expectations for you. I mean, sometimes it works for your band, sometimes it works against you though. Like I said, like with Mexico, or I remember with the UK week, like the guy from Scotland's team was one of the bottom teams. And sometimes it can be something simple like it didn't evoke that dish, or it was too or it wasn't creative enough. Sometimes it's a matter of like actual sins, like it's way too salty, or it's bland, or something like where like the flavor was just wrong. But yeah, it was very interesting. I've never heard of any of the chefs involved. Very few of the judges I've heard of. Like the first time I actually recognized any judges was in the Brazil episode. There was supermodel Alessandra Ambrosia. And then in the India episode, I recognized one of the initial 3 judges, which was Hassan Minaj. I know I'm butchering his name because he has Netflix specials, and I watched his comedy show recently, and then he also has the show Patriot Act on Netflix, which I haven't watched yet, but I do. That is on my queue of things to watch. And then it wasn't until the US episode I obviously recognized 2 of the people, which like 2 of the judges, which were Colin Hanks and Dax Shepard. So yeah, but it was definitely very interesting learning about these people I've never heard of, and there was definitely a lot of good cuisine. And I will say the people, well, actually, let me backtrack my train of thought first. So basically, as I said, each episode it's these teams, but for the final episode, the final 2 teams make it to the last episode for the finale to then cook for all the 9 judges that that were the world famous people who judged the elimination half. But the thing is that at that point they're no longer working as teams; they're working as individuals, and they're supposed to create in their signature dish to join like the 9 other signature dishes that are like world famous from these other chefs. And the thing is that the person who wins, like even just the team who gets, like one of the teams that gets to the final, I was being like, yeah, I can see that. But one of the other teams that makes it to the final, like the guy who actually wins, I was not expecting that. But I mean, it makes sense. Like looking back, like I started rewatching it, like looking back at his pedigree, it's like, okay, it makes sense that you definitely have the skill sets. It's just you were in the bottom a lot for several of the first episodes. So I'm surprised you got this far. Versus some of the chefs I thought were going to make it to the end. Like there's this one team that's really artistic and creative, like, and they tend to go very authentic in a way. Like they both want things presented like in a unique way, but they also look into like the historical significance of the dish. Like they won the first week with the Mexico challenge by cooking, like they had crickets as their protein, because like that was like back in pre-Hispanic Mesoamerica, like crickets were a very major source of protein, and like it's sustainable, and they They purposely like will a lot of times go to like, okay, what was the ancient ingredients? Like, what is the historical ingredients? So like that was one of the teams I thought was going to make it to the end. The Australian guys I was really rooting for, like they're the most experienced guys in the group. One of them was like the first Australian to get 2 Michelin stars. He was in England at the time, and now he's I guess centered in Hong Kong. And the other one like has gotten like had 3 hats in Australia for like 10 years, which that's like the highest reward in Australia. But yeah, I love the Aussies, and I want them to have their own show. Like I just want them like either travel around or just them hanging out cooking, like something. But I want to watch more of the two of them because like I love their humor. They're so great, and they have such great chemistry. And it feels like they're like been best friends for forever. They're so much fun. But yeah, they were one of the teams I was expecting to get to the end. Another team I thought was going to get to the end was one where one guy is from Spain, the other guy's from France, and they just always just had they just excelled. And it took them a very long time to get to the bottom, which is unfortunately when it finally happened. There were so few teams. It wasn't a matter of like who cooked the worst. It's just like you didn't do bad. It's just the other teams just did better. So yeah, but as I said, I've been enjoying this show. If you enjoy a good cooking competition show where it's chefs at their peak and you get to see some unusual dishes, cultural dishes you haven't heard of, or some ingredients you haven't heard of, like it's definitely one of those fun shows. It's kind of like watching it's like watching Iron Chef or like the Great British Taste, or the Great British Menu, or like one of those shows where it's like it's not a matter of it. I mean, it's a competition, but it's more so it's people at the top of their game. Like it's amazing results. Like there's never a bad dish. It's just a matter of like which ones weren't quite as strong that day. So yeah, I highly recommend this show. It's only 10 episodes. It's good if you're as addicted to cooking shows and cooking competitions as I clearly am. So yeah, hope you guys enjoy. All right, and continue enjoying your own geeky vices. Talk to you guys later. Bye.